Welcome back, boys. Let me show you the best PR move of Ananya Pandey's life. I think she should fire her entire PR team and just do boomer talk shows from this point onwards, because she has done more justice and service to the entire Gen Z and mental health community than any of these three combined in their entire life of work, right? So let me show you actually what I'm talking about. It's again surprisingly this show's clip basically, जिस पे Amazon प्राइम ने मेरे पिछली बार वो लिंक हटा दिया था क्योंकि कॉपीराइट का इशू आ गया था। तो अगर ये वाली वीडियो भी नहीं चले पूरी तरीके से तो आई विल पुट दिस लिंक इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन, क्योंकि हो सकता है फिर से ये कॉपीराइट क्लेम में आ जाए, कॉपीराइट के उसमें आ जाए, तो मैं शायद मुझे काटना पड़े ये वाला पोर्शन, राइट? बट अगर मुझे काटना भी पड़े तो ये डिस्क्रिप्शन में होगा, वहाँ पे लिंक जाके देख लेना, ठीक है? Let's get to the video. Right, this is the clip. So if you don't find this in the video, you will find it in my description. Getting to the point. 3 पॉइंट्स के बारे में बात करेंगे, लेकिन उससे पहले लेट मी गेट अ लिटिल सॉल्टी, क्योंकि ऑफ कोर्स आई हैव टू बी अ लिटिल सॉल्टी। फारा खान को छोड़ो, काजोल इज समबडी हु स्टेड क्वाइट इन दिस entire thing, even though she was on the other side, but ठीक है, that is fine. But I appreciated that she did not open her mouth where it was not necessary. Coming to Twinkle Khanna, in just this previous इससे पहले video पे I showed you guys how both of them exposed their husbands to the world, how they may be potentially cheating, and these two may be uh, in an emotionally cheated, physically cheated relationship, because they consider emotional cheating to be way more harsher and way more worse than physical cheating. So I don't know what that reflects on their marriage or what that reflects on their own characters, but these two have exposed themselves in the previous video, right? फारा खान ने 30 मार्का बनाई थी. आई थिंक शी इज द मोस्ट नीडेड therapy person out there. If you can make something like 30 marka, you should get therapy, right? There must be something deep inside you that needs healing, so get that sorted. Anyway, I'm done being salty. Let's come to the actual points. Again, I'm going to appreciate the fact that Kajol did not say anything in this entire clip, even though she was on the other side. I don't know if that was peer pressure or whatever that may be. Twinkle Khanna is the one who run her mouth the most, who has done nothing in her life. So she probably is the one who needs the most amount of therapy among these three. And I just think Farah Khan is ignorant, right? So that's that. Coming to the points. What do Gen Z know? They just know about making sourdough, right? That's belittling from a point of view, privilege of age. You can say that, because this generation considers that wisdom comes with age, experience comes with age. Wisdom does not. Just because you're old does not mean you know more, right? You have just lived more. You have just experienced more, but that does not equate to actual wisdom or actual tangible, substantial knowledge, right? That's one thing. So when Ananya Pandey brought up the point of the fact that they are embracing emotions, the first thing is कि they may be embracing their emotions a little too much, क्योंकि हर चीज़ में फिर ट्रॉमा दिखता है तुम्हें, हर चीज़ के लिए ट्रॉमा, हर छोटी चीज़ के लिए ट्रॉमा हो जाती है. Well, let me tell you how that works. When you keep on suppressing your emotions, like these people in their 50s, 60s, when you keep on suppressing your emotions, that turns into trauma because you have not released those things, right? So the earlier you actually address it, हर चीज़ ट्रॉमा हो जाता है. को मैं एक तरह से पैराफ्रेज करके बता रहा हूँ कि when you address those things, instead of labeling yourself, I 100% agree that you should not label yourself on any mental illness or any diagnostics by yourself, right? Even us therapists are told very precisely that you should not be labeling your clients. It's not your job to it may be your job to actually like look into the symptoms and get them help, but you should not diagnose somebody with something, right? You can बिकॉज फिर वो लेबल आ जाता है, फिर लेबल से स्टिग्मा आ जाता है कि मुझे डिप्रेशन है, जिसका मतलब मेरा एक लाइफस्टाइल होना चाहिए डिप्रेशन के हिसाब से, एंड दैट गेट्स इन टू द एंटायर कॉन्वर्सेशन कि अब उसके बाद डिप्रेशन भी एक एक्सक्यूज बन जाता है टू कंटिन्यू टू बी इन दैट सर्कल इंस्टेड ऑफ गेटिंग आउट. And when we see somebody who's making an effort to come to the therapy, uh, instead of living that life, that suggests that that person is trying to recover, right? So when somebody is trying to physically recover, somebody matlab physically as in going somewhere and trying to recover, emotionally recover, that person has already taken the first step. And at this point you should not be the one to tell them that this is your problem. So you should stay inside that box, right? That is what we call labeling. So first of all, we don't do that, so everything becomes a trauma wali cheese. I'm going to say this ki trauma, you should not, if you think that you have trauma, address that in front of a therapist, right? Address those things, address your symptoms in front of a therapist, a counselor. Do not consider it to be a trauma by yourself, क्योंकि जितना तुम उसको मानते रहोगे, you keep on building up from that point, right? So इवेंचुअली अगर तुमने पहले स्टेप में मान लिया कि तुम्हें ट्रॉमा है, बट देन यू डू नॉट गो टू अ साइकोलॉजिस्ट एंड यू लिव थ्रू दैट ट्रॉमा for the next 20-30 years, you will start having psychosomatic symptoms, which means your psychological symptoms will show up in your body, right? So things like depression, anxiety, stress वगैरह, they show up in your body, right? तो हर चीज में ट्रॉमा है, पीपल आर एक्सेप्टिंग एवरीथिंग, एक्सेप्टिंग देयर इमोशंस टू मच एंड एवरीथिंग इज ट्रॉमा अकॉर्डिंग टू देम is a false statement, because that's not. The fact that these people are addressing those traumas means that they are actually taking the first step into addressing that there is a problem. When you do not address that there is a problem and live your life like these people for 60-ish years, you develop things inside you that eventually may not be able to be treated at this age, क्योंकि by this point you have hypertension, by this point you have sugar issues, by this point you have other issues including your lifestyle issues, when you have not addressed your entire things, have not addressed your emotions in an early age, right? So that's one thing. और जो second thing है कि इस चीज़ को excuse से use करा जाता है कि as if it's a get out of jail card ki if somebody has anything or any emotional uh, issues at that point, they're free to leave that conversation and use that card to get out of it. That's wrong, because nobody does that. Nobody does that, right? That's a false notion. So these, I'm very glad how Ananya Pandey stood her ground. And I'm very glad that there is somebody from this generation who understands people and understands how mental health is important. And I genuinely believe that people like these, boomers like these do need therapy, because you eventually go to therapy because of the people who did not go to therapy when it was time for them to go to therapy, right? And I'm talking about people like these who negate mental health and keep on living their lives even though they have just recently told the entire world that their husbands may be cheating on them. So, like, get therapy. That's all I had to say. मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में. Bye.